Hey, back with the lawn engineer. It's getting towards the end of May here. I thought I'd give you an update on my test here of going from my long cut grass to short. So normally I'd cut this 3.5 inches. This is a mix of bluegrass, ryegrass, and a little bit of fescue. It is a cool season grass. I'm in central Wisconsin here. This year I'm trying to take it down to 1.5 inches, get that low cut look, and so far I'd say it's looking quite good here. I cut it yesterday. It's been raining quite a bit, but when I initially took it down I had a lot of yellow. The grass just was not used to being cut that low. I did that in April, so it's been a little bit over a month now, and it's looking pretty darn good. The one thing I'll say, it's been raining the last couple days. It is very difficult to keep up on this and keep it this short with only removing 1/3 of that grass plate at each cutting. So trying to adhere to that 1/3 rule. But I've been able to do it. One challenge as it's getting wetter here, on a previous video you see I've been cutting this with my Simplicity Regent, which I am extremely happy with. I got a bagger for it because for that reason of trying to keep it this low. Without the bagger, it gets grass clippings in my flower beds and in my landscape stone and leaves clumps. That's been working extremely well. There was a baffle missing and the high lift blades in that kit, which was fine when it was dry. It was working okay, but you can see here this last cut I plugged up a couple times and it left some chunks on here. So the dealer called today, and thankfully the came in and I went and picked it up, but unfortunately I don't have that baffle yet, so we'll put that blade on today and see how much of a difference that makes. But I had 1 inch the other day, and I've got 1/10 today. So, but like I said, it's been pretty humid. That changes things here, makes it a little bit harder to cut and bag with the grass being wet. So hopefully this high lift blade makes a big difference for us. Here is the blade I was supposed to get in the bagger kit. You can see it has some massive lift on it, so that I think is going to make a huge improvement in airflow and suction to get things up the chute and into the bagger. This is the 38-inch deck, so they do not offer the turbo bagger, the vacuum attachment or the blower attachment that goes on the chute there. This is a 2-blade deck, but in the bagger kit they basically provide this one high lift blade on the discharge side of the bagger. The other one remains as the stock blade. I do plan on doing a deep dive into this mower deck. The more I've used it, I've got about 8 hours on the mower now, and I'm extremely impressed with the cut. And as I'm using it more and more, I discover it's not just the ground engaging deck or the free floating deck. That absolutely prevents scalping, provides a very even cut across the grass. Of course the rollers provide that cool striping kit, but also there's something that they've done pretty ingenious here with airflow on this deck, and look for that video coming up analyzing the airflow on the deck here and how the engineers at Simplicity made this thing cut so well. Okay. So the first thing I see looking under here, it's pretty messy. That wet grass I had to cut because of the conditions here. There's a decent buildup under there. I am planning on doing a 10-hour oil change because this is a brand new mower. And at that time I'm thinking about taking the deck off, cleaning it out and all that. But right now I want to get this blade on here and test it out and see what the differences in the blades here are. The instructions for installing the bagger deck tell you to take the deck off to change the blade, but I don't think we have to do that. I see the retaining bolt right there, so I'm going to get a wrench. We'll get this thing off and take a look at it. I just guessed it was a 5/8 inch. And look, we actually got something right. Wow. So look at the difference here. I'm thinking that's gonna solve our problem. This has a pretty decent sail on it actually for other blades that I've seen, but this one just dwarfs it. I mean, it's more than 2 times the size. So I think this is going to push a lot more airflow, get the velocity up, get the grass up that chute. One other thing to note, like I say, I've got about 8 hours of cutting on here. That leading edge held up pretty good. There we go, we got that bad boy on there. I just wanted to point out some of the things I've noticed on this bagger and the little touches that Simplicity does. So on this chute here that attaches to the discharge of the deck, I've noticed that the inside of this is actually very slick. It's a smooth, you can see here, these are extremely challenging conditions I've used this in. But that's a touch I have not seen on other bagger kits that I've used from John Deere and Husqvarna and some others. It's actually instead of this textured surface that most are on the inside, it's actually a smooth, polished. I don't know if it was just in the mold like that from the plastic, or they've actually put an additional coating on here, but I thought that was a interesting touch. I'm not sure that it actually impacts, real world performance, but it's definitely a little touch that you're getting with Simplicity that you don't on others. Okay, I've got the bagger reinstalled here. I cleaned the machine up as much as I could here. I'm really starting to realize, I've said before in a video, my strong preference is to use a leaf blower or blower to clean up the machine. But with this low cut piece, I'm realizing I cannot be so picky of when I cut. I can't wait for things to dry out the way the grass is growing, and trying to keep it that short. I need to mow more often. I'm going to have to mow in conditions that are not ideal when it's a little more wet, and it just gets over everything when I cut here. So I'm thinking I probably need some sort of a pressure washer. Oh, it rained today. I don't think I really want to be able to test it out over there on the grass, the new blade there on the bagger, but I think we're gonna have to just settle for firing this thing up, getting the mower deck on and seeing if there's a noticeable difference. I suspect that there will be. Let's see. Honestly, I was hoping for a bigger difference. I was hoping for the sound of a jet engine coming off, but I did notice the bag here filling up with air more than it did before, so I think we'll be good. Hopefully things dry out here, we can actually test it on the lawn. I'm in the front yard here. Really hasn't had a chance to dry out, but I gotta mow this. We got stuff going on later today, and I gotta get this cut. So I'm gonna use the Regent with the bagger, with the new bagging blade on there on the big side. We'll see how it performs. I'm gonna target around 1.5 inches for this cut. Let's see how it goes. plugged up here around the side. I had to notice some clumps being left in the grass here like this along the edge of the bagger. And I mean, to be fair, this is like worst case. Not only is the grass itself extremely wet just from growing and a lot of rain we had, the internal of the grass, but the outside of the grass is also wet. You can see I'm probably cutting off 3/8 of an inch. So I needed to cut this. This is about the limit of what I want to take off at any one cut, just to make sure the grass stays healthy. But I'm at the limit of my bagger. I'm gonna finish this up. Probably wait as long as I can to do the rest of the lawn here. It is working, but it's not. I think I have to slow down a bit, take less than a full cut to keep the things moving. But anyway, this cut is looking, I mean, pretty sweet, and I'm extremely happy with how this low cut area is turning out. I am fertilizing very often, so the max I've gone is a week and a half before putting some fertilizer on here, and I'm going light, about a 1/2 pound of nitrogen per this 1,000 square feet at each one of those applications. But it is looking really good. I'm extremely happy with how it is, and even these little bare spots I've had are filling in now. And it's very green. As I said in the beginning, when I first started cutting this low at about 1.5 inches, historically I was more 3.5, 3 inches. It was extremely yellow. The grass was not happy with being cut down that far, but now it's getting used to it and getting its foliage closer to the ground, and it's looking good. I'm gonna finish up here. Hopefully I don't plug up again. I'm gonna take it a little bit slower, but we'll see how it goes. So far, going like a turtle solved the situation here, but definitely don't want to cut the whole lawn like this. Well, we got through it and tested the limits of that new blade. It's not a cure-all, obviously. I was able to get through cutting very wet grass here today, but I just had to go extremely slow. So it's definitely an improvement, but you're not going to be able to hack through wet grass, which I knew, but now I know the limits of it. So I'm going to try to avoid this at all costs, but some days you just have to do it. The sad irony of it is the stripes look so amazing when you cut wet grass. I'm assuming it's just, you know, the grass is a little more pliable. It's just plump with moisture internally and outside of it now, and just looks amazing when you cut it, but it plugs up the bagger and leaves a mess all over. So I'm gonna avoid that at all costs, but the journey continues. I'm extremely happy with how that front piece is turning out. I think I'm gonna stick with it long term here and keep that. The one thing is I have to water it, obviously, but that's the price you have to pay. It's only 1,000 square feet, so it's not too bad, but I will put a video on my watering strategy and what is working so far to make that look like that. It's pretty slick, but look for that coming up. Otherwise, adios.